So today's session will cover session 3, actually domain 2. In ISC squared exam, total 5 domains. Today's session will cover domain 2. So the agenda will talk about ISC squared canons. Canons supposed to be part of first domain. So we haven't covered last week. So we'll touch upon ISC squared canons. Then introduction about domain 2, weightage for domain 2, how much weight domain 2 is having in exam. Then under domain 2, we have incident response, business continuity, disaster recovery. In between, I have included few multiple choice questions just to validate our intelligence. So what is canons? Canons refers to the 4 mandatory principle in the ISC squared code of ethics. So when it comes to code of ethics, if you pass any exam from ISC squared, you must agree to ISC squared code of canons or code of ethics, which means I am offering you a certification. You must follow certain conditions. That conditions are 4 conditions. We'll cover one by one. So the first condition is about protect society, the common good, necessary public trust, and the infrastructure. So what does this mean? All decisions should focus on ensuring the safety and protection of the broader community. As you are become a cybersecurity professional, you may have access to sensitive data in our organization or wherever you are working or providing service to. Once you get a job or you are already in the cybersecurity job, you must know you might have access to more data than the common people. For example, if I am managing a database security, I know in and out about database vulnerabilities, weakness, how to attack that database, right? So keep that in mind. You know more information, more knowledge about that particular business or system or process. Now it's important to protect that database, or it's for common good, necessary public trust, and the infrastructure. So you must protect all those available to you as a professional you are protecting. So the key definition, all decisions should focus on ensuring the safety and protection of the broader community. This includes refraining from unethical activities such as hacking, data manipulation, exploiting of vulnerabilities for personal gain. So for our personal gain, you shouldn't use any of the company's asset or the infrastructure you know about. The second canon, act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. What does that mean? Actions such as lying, breaking laws, covering up mistakes are clear violation of this canon. Professionals must own their decisions even when errors occurs. Even human make errors, or if there is a problem, you shouldn't covering up the mistakes. You shouldn't hide the mistakes in your profession. So we must act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally when you are in such a profession like cybersecurity industry. So that's the reason ISS squared made this as a canon 2. So next canon is provide diligent and competent service to principals. Cybersecurity professionals must ensure they are adequately trained, informed, and diligent in fulfilling their roles. Neglecting duties or over-promising result violates the principle. So the Canon 3 talks about you must only accept or agree with the project or task which is feasible. You shouldn't accept unlimited amount of task. For example, there was a project you are involved to protect entire system for that company. You don't have enough resources. Your team is just very small. You cannot meet the project commitment or timeline or the capability. Then upfront you need to deny. You shouldn't overpromise the principal or the company owner or whoever giving you the project and violate the policy. That will break Canon 3. Canon 4, advance and protect the profession. So if an ISC2 certified individual helps someone cheat on exam, they are not only violating the canon but also tarnishing the reputation of the certification and profession as a whole. So this talks about cheating or oversharing any information or material from the exam. Let's say you take the exam, you remember 4 or 5 questions, you post that on the social media or circulate on the private group. That is illegal. So we need to protect the profession by following the canon 4. So these 4 canons we must follow when we take exams or when you become a ISC2 member. Is that clear, or anyone has any doubt? Feel free to unmute and ask if you have any questions. All right, if no questions, we'll move on. So in exam standpoint, you no need to remember each and every line of all 4 canons. You just need to know what is canon 1, canon 2, canon 3 in a definition level, so that if there is a multiple choice question about canons, you must know which one could be the correct answer. All right. Next, we'll talk about weightage quick. Today's domain is domain 2, right? Which is business continuity, disaster recovery, and incident response concept, which weights 10% on your exam. So if your exam have 100 questions, you might expect 10 questions from this particular domain. So total 120 minutes, 100 questions, 1.2 minutes you have, weightage is 10%. So this is one of the smallest or least weightage domain. So you just pay attention to a few concepts, you will be able to answer all their questions in domain 2. So since domain 2 talk about disaster recovery, business continuity, some sort of uncertainty in the business, right? So keep in mind always human life safety come in the top order. If you encounter any question regarding there was a human stuck in the data center or human stuck in the office building, there was a fire, you no need to think about anything. First, we need to save that human life. That's the important order you need to keep. There are questions may trick you. They give you a scenario, talks about some disaster, some incident, but whenever you see human life is involved, we need to give priority to human life. Then next only business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response. So in the order, you must remember human life is precious, as well as that must be given first priority to save any unforeseen incident, disaster situations. So this domain consists of the key concept, business continuity plan, BCP, disaster recovery, DRP, incident response, IRP. So high level, what these three will do in cybersecurity, business continuity ensure critical business functions continue during disruption. So what is critical business function? If you take any bank, what is the critical business function? The critical business function could be money transaction, cash deposit, withdrawal, right? That's for bank. If you take hospital, the critical business function could be ICU units or the emergency ward where they treat emergency patients. These cannot wait. These cannot accept any disruption. So business continuity talks about the critical business function continue to run during disruption. This disruption could be anything. It could be natural disaster or a man-made disaster, right? So disruption means here is a broad, wider topic, but business continuity means your business up and running, the critical units up and running even during disruption. Now take this as an example for your startup. You are a founder. You are offering a service to airport. You every day deliver X material to airport. Airport will use that material for everyday, operation. Now, you understand supplying that material to airport is crucial and important. You are running critical operation. Even though airport might have two supplier or three supplier to backup, but for you, that is the bread and butter core business. In the event of flood or in the event of heavy rain or some man-made disaster happened, you couldn't supply that material to airport. Now, what's happening here? Your business is interrupted. The critical function bringing money to your business is disrupted. So business continuity, not only for companies, in our day-to-day life, you can predict, you can prioritize everyday task. These are the business continuity. If you take 3-4 days leave on your primary work, you may end up losing interest or you may soon laid off because you are keep taking leaves. Not one instance, if you take monthly, 8 days, 10 days leave, then that's impacting your day-to-day life, right? So your going to work is a critical function as that's the one yielding you bread and butter. Then I just giving you, overview why business continuity is so important. Next one is disaster recovery. Restore IT systems and infrastructure quickly after a disaster. We cannot control certain level of disruption in everyone's life. For example, COVID hit us very hard. Many business shut down and they couldn't appear again, still struggling. We might have hit every year with a flood or cyclone related issues prone to certain areas. For example, Chennai might hit every year with a flood or cyclone impact because that's geographical location where Chennai is located close to the coastal area. That's where the cyclone lands into the land. So heavy rain is predicted, cyclone is predicted. During that time, internet, power outage, these are unavoidable. So, but once this disruption happens, how fast you can recover the power, internet, people to back to the business so that you can continue to run the business. This is what disaster recovery. After disaster, how you can recover fast. We'll see that in detail. Next, incident response. Incident response, you are running a business, one or two incident may happen day in, day out. How our business, identify that risk, incident, and identifying those incident and fixing those. For example, I'm running a business, one employee left or stolen company's primary laptop, which has customer details and run away from the office. Happened, right? Or take another example. There was a guy who is working on a company. He installed some unauthorized software that become a ransomware that locked his laptop and demanding the ransom. This will not impact the entire business or disrupt the business, but still some level this may create an impact. For example, the guy who run away with the customer data, he may sell the data to competitor or he may post it on dark web. He may, upload it on social medias. That will damage your reputation. Your customer will not trust you anymore. So incident response, we need to prepare a perfect plan in advance. If such incidents happens, what would be the reaction? What would be the action plan we have? Hope you might have understand the difference between business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response. So now we'll move on to the respective topic. These all three broad domain, business continuity, disaster recovery, or incident response, the key information you must know why the purpose behind these three, why we need to prepare for business continuity plan, why we need to prepare for disaster recovery, why we need to prepare for incident response. Then significant importance, why or what level of importance we need to give to these three. Next, underlying components. Each domain here, each concept, it could be business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response, might have relevant components. We'll cover that components in detail as well. So incident response, there are terminologies we must know. So incident response, we may use these words while learning incident response. Event, an occurrence of an activity on an information system called event. This event could be occurrence of an activity. It could be login, logout, hacking, doing some task. These are all called event, right? When user log into database is an event that they get logged. Who is the user? What time user access the database? What user login from? Which IP address? These all event. What is incident? One or more events that jeopardize the confidentiality, integrity, availability of an asset. Let's say there was a hacking attempt, it was successful. Now, maybe the hacker tried 10 times, 11th time it got compromised. Now, he made 10 plus events. So more events combined together create a security incident. That incident can compromise your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. As we have seen in the last session, the core security principles, confidentiality, integrity, availability, if that breaks, it's a security breach will happen. Next, exploit. Exploit is an action, program, or tool that takes advantage of system vulnerability. There was a vulnerability, hacker or anyone trying to exploit, that is called exploit. So when you have weakness in the system, which is vulnerability, that weakness can be, used against the company or the asset owner, called exploit. Threat, an event with potential damage to the organization. So threat can be natural, man-made, or artificial. For example, the cyclone or flood is a threat to the company. If there is a malware, ransomware, cyber attack, social engineering, also threat to the respective company. So an event with potential damage, anything, it could be man-made or artificial. Threat actors, individual or group that has potential to damage the organization. Individual or group, why that comes here, the threat actors. If I am an individual hacker, I am trying to hack into the system. I am just an individual. I have maybe my motto could be money or stealing the data. But when it comes to group of people in Russia, North Korea, our neighboring countries, they run a company or firm, they attack India's critical infrastructure or specific company. As a group, they work for years and identify the weakness in particular company. They attack and post image or wallpaper on their website hacked by XYZ group. So now these threat actors are paid to do that, or the motto could be the enemy countries, they attack each other like how war happens in the border. Similarly, the hacking groups attack their enemy countries. So that way, the hackers group called as threat actors. Vulnerability, as I said, weakness in the system potentially exploited by the threat agent or threat actors. All right, so these all are the terminologies we must aware of. So I will share the entire slide. Probably you might need more time to understand. You can come back and refer like one time to 3, 4 times you read and keep that in mind whenever you learn this particular domain, these terminologies are repeated. So next overall aim for this particular domain started simply the primary goal of incident management and incident response to minimize the impact of security incidents on the organization. So the aim or goal for incident response plan, IRP, is that we cannot avoid incidents completely in the company or any business. That we must understand. As a security professional, you cannot expect my company, my product, my department doesn't have any incident. That will not happen because every day new type of incidents are created, new type of problems are developed. So you cannot say you are 100% protected. You might have bought fancy solution, fancy zero trust network products, or whatever security controls available on the market, you might have purchased, but still you are not 100% protected. There must be weakness, vulnerability that can be exploited. So the incident response plan overall aim is to minimize impact of security incidents. What they are saying, I cannot protect 100%, but if there is an incident happens, I can minimize the impact with the help of incident response plan. So the specific goals, protect human life and safety. As I said, that's the top order. Minimize the downtime and business disruption. How we can do that? For example, there is an incident on hard disk. Hard disk was failed. You can keep another system as a backup or use another disk in the same system, adding RAID 1, RAID 0, or RAID 5 to support the backup through multiple disks, right? This is just an example for hardware failure. What about a human? Let's say I have only one security analyst in my team. He took a sick leave 3 days. So 3 days, no job happening on security side, right? So now you need to hire another guy so that if one guy take a break or a sick leave, the another guy will cover the business. It may be slightly cost increasing, but you have backup plan. During the incident time, you have backup. You have hosted your company in only one city. When that city hit with natural disaster, you run out of business. Now you need to think about establishing another business or another unit in another city so that if one city run into trouble, the another city people will support your business. So that's how the minimizing impact of security incident happen. So maintaining confidentiality, integrity, availability is important as attackers break any one or combination of these three. So prevent reoccurrence. Prevent reoccurrence is something we need to key attention to incident response, because when there is an incident, there is a learning opportunity. When you learn that opportunity, you need to implement the necessary control. For an example, there was a guy who ran away with the company laptop. Is there a security incident? Now, to avoid that, what option we have? We can implement disk encryption policy or laptop wiping control. If someone run away, I can remotely wipe the data on their laptop. So the future occurrence of similar incident will not happen. So once you learn in that every security incident, there is a loop. Once the incident is closed, they do lesson learned and implement the adequate measure so that next time that incident if happens, the impact would be zero or minimum. Comply with the legal and regulatory requirements. As incident response are compliance requirements, For example, OWASP top 10 mandates log monitoring, security, SOC operation centers are compliance requirement. If you have SOC, then only they provide you certain certifications. So to meet your compliance requirement, you need incident response plan. Protect reputation of the organization. Imagine you are a security officer for a major bank in India. There was a security incident. Someone hacked into database and took all the people bank balance and details and exploited in the dark web or available. Now, what will happen? Your company reputation will damage. No one will open a bank account. You will end up losing the customers as well as no new customers will sign up in your bank. So protecting organization reputation, we need incident response plan. Otherwise, you will end up shutting down the business. Next, elements of incident response program. First, we need to develop incident response policy. This is just a policy which includes purpose statement of the policy, scope, roles, responsibilities, sharing of sensitive incident information. As incident response not only applicable for a security officer or cybersecurity professional, incident response plan is applicable for everyone, every department in the organization. For example, it could be database, it could be physical security, it could be security guard on the entrance. So everyone must have their own incident response plan. If there is an incident, let's say there is a attack happening on the front desk, some stranger came into the office and attacking the security guard. Security guard must know what to do next. They need to call the police or they need to prevent themselves or they have a arm enabled security force they can quickly call. Right. So there are procedures they must follow. So each department, they have their own purpose statement for the incident response policy. Then incident response plan, objective, strategy, mission of the plan, list of entities notification, maintaining, improving the plan, laws, regulations, and external standards. In incident response plan, we need to cover these all to be considered. Then incident response procedure, it's a step-by-step process that must be documented based on the policy and plan. So I can say in human life, you may encounter some uncertainty in our human life, right? For example, the unforeseen situation like when someone's close relatives died in the family, we don't know what to do next. If you think about this type of situation in advance, at least you know what to do next. You will not be blank out. You must know, where to go, how to handle the emotional problem during the, someone, missed in the family. This is just an example. Similarly, when some bad thing happened in the business as an incident, we must follow step-by-step documented procedure because in organization, people join and leave. We can't expect people always work for the company, right? So when employee X leaving the company, employee Y join as a new hire. Now, the newly joined employee must know where to refer the documents, what is the step-by-step procedure for incident response plan, so that when incident happens, they know what must be followed. Then incident response team, always each department, there must be a sign off. For example, CFO, CIO, CEO must be involved in the incident response plan. Each team must be participating in the incident response plan. When I say each team, finance team, your IT infrastructure team, database team, or a firmware or a front-end developer team, whatever track or department company has, each team must participate in the incident response program. So next, incident response process as per NIST standard. Okay, NIST is a specific org. They developed the standard. They made a standard SP 861. As per NIST standard, these 4 steps must be followed in any incident. Sorry, incident response plan preparation. When it comes to incident, you have a preparation. You already prepared what to do during the incident. Next, you must have continuous detection and analysis, because if you just prepare, you don't have detection mechanism, how incident will be identified. For example, there was an employee who ran away with a laptop. This was the incident. Who will monitor the laptop moved away or run away? Maybe there is a attendance tracker, or the device was not connected to the office system for more than 8 days. Certain monitoring must be in place. So that's where the SIEM tool can be used as a detection and analysis. Also, in modern companies, they use Security Operations Center for monitoring and analysis. Next, during the incident, we need to contain and eradicate recovery. Containment means if there is a security incident, we need to eliminate that particular infected device from the network, then remove the malware or virus, then plan the recovery. Could be restoring the backup or issuing a new laptop, right? So containment, eradication, recovery is the third step. Next, post-incident activity. After the incident, after we contained and recover the device, now lesson learned. The post-incident activity primarily lesson learned must be given to the preparation, so that when next time incident happens, similar incident, we know how quickly react and fix the problem, so that that can be added to post-incident activity, as well as the preparation plan is getting improved day by day. You prepared version 1. After 10 incidents, the version may be version 1.2 with 10 more incidents added with a smooth plan. What we have to do if that happens. Now consider every company start facing artificial intelligence related problem. This cannot be added in the incident response plan, which was prepared 3 years ago. Now they will go and add if someone leaked data through ChatGPT, how to recover or hide or protect, right? So such incident response process continuously updated. So this is not a one-time task. The incident response process is a living process, continuously monitored, updated based on the day-to-day incidents. So in general process, if you are deployed as a security officer, how you will prepare incident response plan for your security team? First phase is planning and preparation. Create policies, get support, build awareness, acquire tools. So you must know what incident response plan you are preparing. You are preparing for security operation or security operation center, whatever department you are part of. Next, you need support from your leadership or respective team. Under security itself, multiple team, right? Pen testing or IAM or SOC team, right? Next, building awareness. There is a incident response plan available. In the event of incident, each and every team member must aware they need to follow this process. Next, tools. There are tools being used in the incident response plan. For example, the incident, as soon as incident triggered from the SIM tools, the SIM logging system, the tools itself create an alert so that the incident get created and assigned to respective team through the tools. The tools always ServiceNow, Salesforce, or Jira, GitHub, or Git related tools. It could be any software tools or hardware tools they use to triage the incidents. Next phase is detection, triaging, and investigation. Here, yes, my SIM tool identified the incident. Next, that must be validated by human, whether that is true or false positive. It must go to a human team like SOC team or a security operation team. They validate the incident. They prioritize. For example, one guy run away with the laptop. Another guy run into ransomware. Another incident, entire database hacked by the hacker. So among three, which one you think high priority? Obviously, it should be company database. because laptop is an individual problem. The another one is also specific to individual system locked. The third one is entire company's database is wiped by ransomware. It's a highly impacting problem. So based on the impact, the team which is handling the security incidents prioritized. Next phase is planning for containment, analysis, and tracking and recovery. Containment means just eliminating that system from the network or participating in the business so that the same problem will not get passed to other system or process. For example, if my laptop is infected with ransomware, if that is getting connected to computer network, my ransomware can pass to another system. It can impact entire network or more than one system available in the company. Then analysis. Security Operations Center or a SOC team will analyze and track, try to follow the recovery procedure. They may restore the backup, they may inform IT infrastructure to, format the laptop. They follow as per the procedure. Post incident, after incident, conduct post-mortem, evaluate response, identify corrective actions, and report metrics. So once they identify this is what happened, this is how ransomware entered to the system, after that, the lesson learned would be given to incident closure. So incident closure, they prepare a detailed report and update the security response policy or incident response policy with lesson learned in this particular incident. Now it's a good time. Shiva is monitoring his organization's SIEM system, watching for sign of unusual activity. Which phase of the NIST incident response process best describes his work? So as part of this NIST framework, he is monitoring SIM logs. In these 4 phases, which phase the SIM system watching fall under? Take the chat and respond. All right, everyone, can you hear me? Are you able to find the answer? Right, number 2, detection and analysis. Number 1, preparation. So SIM is a tool which monitors the logs for events, right? So that must be fall under detection and analysis, because once you prepare incident response plan, there is a monitoring happens. It could be CCTV monitoring, it could be SIM logs, primarily SIM logs used for all the hardware or software devices. Logs will forward it to SIEM tool. So detection and analysis is the right answer. So next, during his monitoring work, Shiva identified a high priority security incident in progress. What should be his first priority? He found an incident. Let's say there is a ransomware blocking or encrypting the database. What he needs to do as per the NIST incident response process? Okay, so quiz 2 will go back to the same framework. So preparation, already they have incident response plan. Detection and analysis, the logs are coming from SIM tool, alert already configured. Now the third one, once incident triggered from detection and analysis, containment, eradication, recovery. So containment is the something we need to follow when there is an incident. So now come back to the question. Shiva identified a high severity incident. Now, identifying lesson learned is the last phase. Notifying senior management is maybe part of the process, but not immediate. Recovering normal operation, Shiva is not responsible, maybe he is just a monitoring guy. Contain the damage is the next step as part of this framework. You can see containment, eradication, recovery is the next step once we find the incident. So option 4 is the right answer. Next, incident response procedure is step-by-step procedure documented so that everyone in the team can understand. So the next topic is business continuity plan. So far, we have just seen incident response plan. So pay attention to that in NIST framework. More questions followed through NIST framework only. So you must understand clearly about incident response plan. Now we'll switch the gear about business continuity plan. As business continuity plan, in the event of disruption, we continue to run the business. So for preparing that, we need continuity planning. We need to plan in advance. So how it starts, initiate the project, which is called business continuity project. Define the scope, size, roles, and responsibilities, develop BCP policy, management approval, as this may involve some costing. Then impact analysis. In impact analysis, you need to identify what are the department or team or handling the critical business function. Then identify preventive controls, then develop the recovery strategies, develop the plan, test the plan, maintain the plan. This may confuse you or overwhelm with the concept. I give you a simple example. You have started a startup. Now you got first 10 customers. You have predicted after next month you will run out of material or necessary resources to continue the company. You already predicted the business problem. I mean, the impact going to happen after a month. Now you have to plan how I can continue in the event of such projected problem exist. You start working on the plan. So the problem you predicted or risk you predicted, you may not get the necessary resources to supply to the customer. How we can fix that? You need to find another vendor or you need to understand the customer communication, how to communicate them in the event of supply outage. Is the customer okay to accept 2 to 3 days outage? These must be part of advanced preparation plan. It cannot be on the day when you run out of the business, right, or outage. So continuity plan must be prepared in well advance. The impact when you unable to supply the material to your first 10 customers, what impact it will create? Maybe customer will go away, you may shut the business, or you may lose the trust, you may not get the customer again. Chances are there, right? So now you need to identify the preventive controls. What was the problem? I couldn't get the enough supply materials. How to fix? I need to figure out 2 to 3 another vendors, or they may ask more money to supply to the my company. In that case, maybe I may end up business loss. So preventive controls exist. Next, you need to build the recovery strategy. If among 10 customers, 2 customers okay with the outage, 8 customer cannot wait. So you can prepare a plan. Okay, for those 8 customers, I can use another vendor to supply so that business will continue as usual, no disruption. Next, they develop the plan. Next, test the plan. You cannot wait for the incident happen. You need to test the plan in advance, maintain the plan. So this is for not only for cybersecurity, even if you do any primary task, you can prepare for business continuity. For example, you are planning for a holiday. Uncertainty always exists. What is the continuity? For example, you like to board a flight from Chennai to the holiday destination. If that flight got cancelled, you already took 15 days leave for that holiday. What option next? Only the first flight cancelled. I have option to book another flight, maybe slight cancelling charges or 1 day I may waste, but still I continue with my holiday plan, right? Or I completely change the plan. I stop going to holiday and take a rest at home. So you have always multiple choices, but how you will be succeed? You set the expectation you are taking family to holidays. Now you cannot stop that plan. You need to prepare another backup. If things not go as favor of you, then you have another plan so that whatever you target achieved, the aim you have set, that could be achieved. In business, similarly, if my proposal or planned approach end up failing, then you need to plan accordingly in advance so that when event occurs, you know what to do. So that's how business continuity plan even helps in our personal life. If you consider any primary task, if you are doing, if you think about second option or a second opinion, you might have one continuity plan. So that you need to aware of at least, then only you can implement it during the time of when it is needed. Next, continuity planning initiation is the first step. So as running a business involving multiple teams, sales team, marketing team, there is an operation team, technical support team, right? So each business unit leaders must aware there is a business continuity plan. Senior management should approve. IT department must be aware of. Security department must be aware of. Facilities department must be aware of the business continuity plan. Public relations should aware. Each department, they might have their own dedicated business continuity plan. For example, there is a big IT services company in Chennai hosting, let's say, maybe 40,000 employees. In the event of COVID, people couldn't travel to the office. So the security department or facility department must know people will not come to office. Don't prepare for food or food court or coffee machine. Everything will be stopped, right? So facility department now running under business continuity plan. They know people will not come because of COVID. We need to stop that process, or within that facility department also people will not come to office, so fully interrupted. Similarly, each department might impacted, so they follow the respective continuity plan to run the business continuously. Maybe they offer work from home, or they may ship something to the employees necessary. For example, IT department may ship remote equipments and computer accessories. Some companies offered the work from home setup by the furnitures. So these are the plan as part of business continuity. Each department must have planned. Next, impact analysis. In impact analysis, because each and every department we cannot prepare a backup plan. There are department we can eliminate or less important. For example, take a facility department, which is just managing the coffee machines. In the event of disaster, people never even come to office, so no point of giving importance to coffee machine. But if you take a department which is providing salary to the employee, if salary not paid on time, employee will lose the inspiration and will not work, or they look for another job, right? So salary department or the payroll department is a critical department, as many human life depend on that, or entire families depend on that. So high priority given to finance department here. So that's how we need to assess the business impact. If that particular department is impacted, what would be the impact? Let's say take a database monitoring team. They are critical core team. They are monitoring and taking backup. The each and every financial transactions are located in database. If someone modified or it's been hacked, then it become a critical problem for the company. They may lose the business or cannot recover. Those departments given high importance. So in impact analysis, identify organization's critical business function, identify resources the critical function depend on, determine how long the function can be without the resources. So which is called maximum tolerable downtime, MTD. So how long function can be without the resource? How long, let's say, three people working on the payroll system, maintaining the salary. If all three not available for 3 days, will that impact the salary process? Or if anyone come to work, we can run that payroll function without any downtime. So the maximum tolerable downtime, how much time the business can accept in the event of failure. Identify the vulnerabilities and threats to these functions. Calculate the risk for each business function. Identify the recovery priorities. So once we identify the impact, based on the impact, you can prioritize and give them the respective, continuity plan. Develop recovery strategies and solutions. So here we need to pay attention to these three statements: recovery time objective, recovery point objective, work recovery time. So when we plan for recovery, there was an incident already happened. Let's say consider there was a flood. Flood happened 3 4 days, heavy rain, flood happened in the work premises. Already business impacted. Now, what is recovery time objective? This is the time target for restoring a business process service after disruption caused by the disaster or security event. This may expressed in hours, days, or even weeks, depending on the business function. So let's say 4 days heavy rain, flood happened. 4 days business impacted. So the recovery time objective here is after 4 days only business recovered. So 4 days is the recovery time objective. You can put another example. There was a hack or a ransomware attack happened on the database. 3 days, company struggled to restore the backup. Now RTO is 3 days because there was an incident, there was a disaster. Time target for restoring a business process service after the disruption is called RTO. But once lesson learned, this RTO can be minimized. For example, now we have learned 3 days struggle to restore the backup. So next time when ransomware attack happens, they know how to restore the backup much faster. They will not wait for 3 days. So RTO will get gradually reduced once we familiar with the incidents. Next, recovery point objective. This is the amount of data that is acceptable to be lost. Remember, acceptable to be lost. Because in the event of disaster, there must be small data will be lost. For example, take the same example. There was a flood, 4 days bank shut down, water entered to the bank premises. It impacted that first day banking operation. Whatever people entered on the system was not saved on the backend database. So now the recovery point objective, for example, the first day when flood happened, the data not stored. So probably 8 hours of data not available on the backend database. So the financial transaction they lost. So here the amount of data that is acceptable to be lost happened is 8 hours, but how much your business can accept? For example, as a bank, it may not able to accept even single minute. That's why bank always store everything in the centralized database, not on the branches. If branch run into any fire incident or a flood, no data will be lost. So their RPO must be 0.001 or less because bank will not afford because it will involve business financial loss. As a banking customer, if my deposit was not reflected on my account during flood situation, then I will raise a complaint, right? Whatever amount I put it in the complaint, bank must give. So that will create business loss. So banking system, they keep everything online so that whenever they enter, the data will be stored in the cloud. Still, there are situations due to internet disruption or whatever data they entered, which is lost due to technical failures happens. So the recovery point objective could be minimum. So work recovery time after amount of time to restore the data, perform testing, ensure capability is fully operational is work recovery time. So work recovery time come into picture when after disaster, after disruption, we may restore the business backup, we test and come to the function, right? That is called work recovery time. So how long time will it take to restore the backup, test and validate whether everything is good and correct, then open for production is called work recovery time. So we'll pause here and take 5 minutes break, then we'll resume.
Yes, you are audible.
All right, thank you. So in business continuity, next topic, to achieve business continuity, we may need to use high availability and fault tolerance. High availability, as the name states, when you have more than one system, one storage, one network equipment, more than one internet service provider, you have built high availability because when primary device not available, the secondary one will take over. So that's why high availability is important to continue business continuity in the event of hardware failures. Next, fault tolerance. In fault tolerance, when it comes to power supply or storage media networking components, more than one components comes by itself. So when it comes to high availability and fault tolerance, primarily you are adding more than one same device or component. But when it comes to fault tolerance, within that component, you may have additional component or microservices get added. For example, take storage. If you have only one hard disk, if that hard disk got failed, you are interrupted. When it comes to hard disk, you can use RAID 0 or RAID 5. You can still, if one device storage disk is faulty, the other storage disk will help you. So for RAID 0, at least you need minimum 2 disks. For RAID 5, at least you need minimum 3 disks. Networking components, as now every computer servers comes with more than one NIC card. If one connection is interrupted, the another one will take over. So now quiz time. Karthik would like to add fault tolerance to the storage capacity of a new server that he is building. He would like to use RAID 5 to protect this server. What is the smallest number of physical disk that required? So how many minimum disk required for RAID 5? The answer is from this slide. So RAID 5, how many minimum disk we need? It's an easy question. Take the chat and confirm. What is the minimum number of disk required for RAID 5? So for RAID 5, we need at least minimum 3 disks. So the answer is 3. Next topic, disaster recovery. As so far we have seen incident response plan, business continuity plan. Now disaster recovery always talks about how soon we can recover after the incident. How soon we can restore the IT infrastructure. When it comes to IT infrastructure, it could be laptop, server, mobile phone or telephone infrastructure or customer support, communication. How fast we can recover. Subset of business continuity activities designed to restore business to normal operation as quickly as possible following a disruption. Could be hurricane, technology failure, power outage, health emergency such as pandemic, hazard caused by humans such as ransomware attack. These are the disruptions. After these business disruptions, how quick recognize the circumstances and activate the corresponding disaster recovery plan. IT facility recovery. When it comes to disaster recovery, primarily they focus on IT equipments, office locations, computer softwares. When it comes to particular facility, particular branch office, how we can recover? So there are 3 ways we can recover. One is called hot site. Hot site, they might have replica of the exact office location. For example, Chennai, I have my office in a primary location with all the softwares and hardwares equipments placed. Similarly, I maintain another location with all the computer servers loaded and keep it ready for backup option. The hard site is only applicable or have seen in real time for critical infrastructure. It could be bank or it could be critical infra like airport backend operations or the transaction which cannot wait. They put more money and develop another site with all necessary options. So in the event of disaster, if any failure happens, for example, first primary location hit with the bomb threat or flood or cyclone or pandemic, people requested to go to secondary site immediately and that function as normal as early as possible. Within hours, it would be ready because you are maintaining replica of the primary office to another location. That is called a hot site. Warm site, the site has power, cooling system, physical infrastructure, possibly telecommunication like internet services, but computers, network devices, software, people are not up to date. It takes at least a day or a week time frame to bring to the normal operation. It may be less expensive, but keeping location ready with basic amenities may help with minimum outage like day to week time outage and they can continue to the work. Cold site is nothing, just a location is ready, but still more work needs to be done. It may take month to year to recover. So the cold site is the option they just for formal check, they maintain another location, but nothing will be available. So in image replica, how this looks like. For hot site, you have everything ready. You are going to office location A. In the event of failure, you are asked to go to office location B or another city. So you go to that city and start working on within whatever time you reach the secondary place. Warm site has power, internet, cooling system, but the computer, people, network devices must be installed. It takes hours to daytime. Cold site, you can see on the image, just a floor with the basic amenities, nothing available, no furniture, no internet, no device, computer, people. It takes week to month to build. So the reason they are maintaining this in business disaster recovery, it could be anything. It could be fire incident. Let's say my primary office is hit with a major fire. Now I lost everything on that fire incident. If I shut down and close the business, it impacts my all customers. They will go to another client and they figure out another vendor for their services. I will lose business. What if I maintain another location? I can ask people to go to another location and immediately start working. So that's where hot site will help. Warm site will help if customers are okay to accept outages for 1 day to a week time. I can bring back everything on the warm side so that the business will continue to run. Cold side, I'm doing less, important business. Customer okay to wait for month time frame. I will slowly build the cold site since I have location ready, building ready, but still I need to do wiring, furniture, computer restoration, or any telecommunication equipment infrastructure to be set up. It takes month at least time frame to build replica of the primary site, but I have a plan. So this is how IT facility recovery must be planned. So again, disaster recovery also we have some metrics. Same metric, same meaning. RTO, recovery time objective, is the targeted amount of time that will take to restore a service to operation following a disruption. Let's say my primary site is having fire incident, completely, destroyed by fire. Now I need to ask my all employees to go to secondary site, which is available in 3 hours journey, maybe another town or city. They need to take a flight or train to reach the city within 3 hours. So after major incident, the targeted amount of time will take to restore a business. The people travel itself 3 hours, then they get into the secondary site, they start working, may take another 1 hour. Maybe I can say RTO is 4 hours in the event of major disruption if I have hot site. So that's how we need to calculate the RTO. RPO, organization must also think about amount of data that needs to be restored is the maximum time period from which data may be lost as a result of disaster. Due to fire incident, maybe that particular day's data I might have lost, maybe last 8 hours or 4 hours during the incident, the data was not synced up in the backend database. That is called recovery point objective. It could be 4 hours or less, depends on how the system design. Next one is the recovery service level. RSL is the percentage of the service that must be availed during the disaster. For example, same take the primary site run into fire incident, everything destroyed. But during that time, my website was hosted in Amazon Cloud. My, you know, uh, the company site is, available up and running, right? So some level of business was up and running, even though my primary office was impacted by fire incident. I was using cloud for email or cloud for my delivering the communication. That must up and running and automated. So maybe 25-30% of the business was running during the fire incident, which is called recovery service level. RSL is, for example, 30% in the event of only website is available, but backend operation, people, shipping, or any other major operation work are impacted. So to determine in the event of major disruption, there must be some percentage of the service up and running because of the nature. There is no office dependency or people dependency. So next topic is backup types. There are three backup types we must aware of: full backup, differential backup, incremental backup. So full backup, as the name indicates, you have a system, you are taking exact replica of the data to your backup server. Simple as it is. In the event of failure, you need to restore the full backup. The full backup problem is every time you take full backup, the size of the backup would be huge. Restoration time also huge because everything needs to be restored. Differential backup, they take first full backup. Afterwards, they cumulatively take only daily changes to the backup system. So they will not take full backup again and again. Only changes. For example, today my full backup is 2 GB. Today transaction 200 MB worth of transaction happened. They only take 200 MB today, 2 GB already taken. So in the event of restore, I need to restore full backup plus all the last cumulative backups, day-to-day changes taken to be restored. Incremental backup, they take full backup plus each day backup as a small, like multiple small incremental backups available. So restoration process, they restore first the full backup and each and every incremental backup they need to restore. So these three backup types you must aware, you may expect questions among these three backup types. So read more about this by just research what is full backup, differential backup and incremental backup pros and cons so that you will aware. Next, offsite storage. When you take a backup, if you store the backup on the same system or same location, then you will end up with major disaster problem because I take backup, I keep the backup also in the same location. It's like I have a spare key. I kept that in the same house, the primary key which I lost outside the house now. So you have backup, but no point of keeping them in the same location. So if you keep the backup on the same location, that is known as local backup. So backing up business data is important and storing those backup in a security facility that is geographically distant from the primary facility provides added assurance. Same disaster will not damage the both primary facility and backup facility. This is all part of performing a site risk assessment. As you select locations, this process is known as site resiliency. This is just self-explanatory, simple. In understanding purpose, you have taken your laptop backup and keep it on the same laptop. If something happened to that laptop, you lose backup and primary data. Now you end up with no option to restore. That will impact the business. So you must identify maybe cloud-based services to keep the data, or you need to maintain another data center remotely in another location so that your backup data will be sent to that another remote location, like India backup sent to Singapore. In the event of incident in India, will not impact the Singapore. Once India data center is ready, you can restore the backup from the Singapore servers. So that's how we need to plan site resilience. Next, you have created disaster recovery plan, cold site, warm site, or hot site. You already set up. Now, how to test? There must be a test, right? You cannot wait until the incident happened, then only I will test. Or that's the common misunderstanding, or people will not follow because of cost and expensive in nature for testing. But in critical infrastructure like banking or nuclear power plant or airport backend operations, they really test exactly every 6 months or a quarter, full test they shut the primary site and they bring up the secondary or warm site or hot site. They see whether all the systems are up and running or not. So in DRP testing, there are multiple ways. First one is read through. They send the plan to all the department. They just read and understand, okay, there is a disaster recovery plan exists. This will not be significantly effective. I just know every team is aware. Okay, in the event of disaster, I need to go to site B, which is 3 hours away. I need to take the cab or train or flight to fly to the respective location and start the work. This is simply telling them through a document, there is a plan. Next walkthrough. They invite everyone to a conference room, all the department, and they run a slide or read in front of them. Okay, in the event of disaster, this is what we need to do. Educate the employees about plan in a meeting room. Next one is simulation. When there are situations where we cannot do real parallel test, in that situation, they use simulator applications. They use computer-based softwares. They shut the primary site and they see how simulation works in computerized simulated environment. Okay, again, this may not be effective as real time, but still in the simulation application, they put all the conditions, all the challenges so that people experience the kind of a real effect. This is like before go to the pilot training, they use simulator to teach the pilots how to fly the flight, right? Similarly, before getting to the disaster recovery, they use simulation tool to simulate, okay, now you run into a problem, the primary site is not accessible, employees are diverted to secondary site, they are going to the secondary site, the door systems are up and running, opening the door. It's kind of a simulator they plan. There are companies selling the simulators for this operation. Next one is a parallel test. They run both a test active. Like I have primary office location, I send 50% of the employee to primary location. I send 50% of the employees to secondary location to see both are able to work parallelly. It's a good way of testing because 50% of the population go to the secondary site. They will confirm, yes, I can access all the system. I can support the customer. I can work flawlessly or without any problem. That will give confidence to the business. Okay, in the event of disruption, I can send all the employees to secondary location. That will up and running. The full interruption test, they shut the primary site, they turn on the hot site or warm site, and they send all the employees to the secondary site. This is much more effective because we are sending full load, full employees to the secondary site. So we are seeing, we are evaluating the capability, how the secondary site will support the business. Next is a quiz time. Guys, please participate actively so that you will get used to it as these exams are based on multiple choice question. Which type of recovery site has some or most system in places but doesn't have the data need to take over the operation? Which is hot site or warm site or cold site or cloud site or cold site? The site has some or most systems, but data needs to be restored. Yeah, so the answer must be warm site because hot site is a replica. Everything will be available. But the question you must understand has some or most systems. So what they are saying, some systems are not there. That's what mean, right? So warm site is the place where some data computers not there. We need to restore. It takes at least hours to day time so that warm site will become available. So warm site is the correct answer. So next, Deepak recently conducted an assessment and determined that his organization can be without its main transaction database for a maximum of 2 hours before unacceptable damage occurs to the business. Therefore, the goal of his organization is to restore services within 2 hours. Which metric Deepak is identified? So here they are talking about database with the maximum 2 hours acceptable downtime. Could be RSL, recovery time objective, or recovery point objective, or MTTR.